Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into the really exciting, sometimes, yeah, a bit dizzying world of English language teaching and learning.
hmm
Specifically, how artificial intelligence is changing things. The space just moving incredibly fast.
It really is.
And our mission today really is to cut through all that noise. We want to give you that shortcut, that clear path to understanding where language education is heading. We're drawing heavily on Professor Magdi S. Ekwel's work on AI in teaching English.
It's a great resource.
Yeah, think of this as your kind of accelerated brief on what you need to know, hopefully with a few surprises too.
Exactly. And we're not just, listing features. We really want to pull out those key insights, not just what AI is doing, but why it's such a big deal, how it's actually reshaping, fundamentally, how we think about language learning.
Right.
We know you're likely already tuned into this topic, so yeah, we'll dive straight into the more interesting bits, trying to get to that critical understanding pretty quickly.
Perfect. So, okay, AI. We know it's not just one single thing, right? It's this big umbrella. But for teaching English, what's really the engine behind the changes we're seeing? What makes it transformative?
Well, okay, rather than defining, say, machine learning or NLP in the abstract,
Yeah.
let's talk about what they do in the classroom context. NLP, natural language processing, it's not just about a computer understanding words. It's what powers tools that can pick up on really subtle things in a learner's language,
Like what?
like pinpointing specific areas where their fluency may break down or where certain grammar errors keep cropping up. Fossilization, that's incredibly hard for one teacher to track for, say, 30 students.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And then machine learning.
Yeah.
Well, that's the part that lets these systems learn from every single student interaction. So they get smarter, they adapt the content, the feedback. It's in ways we just couldn't have imagined even 10 years ago. It's the difference between like a static textbook and a dynamic learning partner.
That's a really helpful way to put it, the dynamic impact, not just the definition. It makes me think about the journey here. We've come a long way from basic computer-assisted instruction.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you sketch out that evolution for us? What were the real turning points, the moments that significantly shifted things for English language teaching?
Sure. I mean, you can trace the ideas way back to Turing in the 50s, sure. But for education, the real practical shift started when we moved past those old rule-based systems.
The ones that were basically just digital worksheets.
Exactly, expensive workbooks, yeah. Then the 80s brought intelligent tutoring systems, ITS, which started offering a bit more personalization. But the big shakeup, that's really been the 2020s with generative AI, tools like ChatGPT, Google Bard.
Right.
Suddenly, AI wasn't just checking your grammar. It could actually help you brainstorm, generate ideas, even simulate a conversation. It went from diagnostic to creative and interactive. That's a huge leap. Think about that example from South Korea. The teacher using AI for detailed pronunciation practice in 2023. That's way beyond a spell checker. It's like having a personal, real-time phonetics coach.
And it's those real-world applications that really hit home. Okay, let's unpack that a bit more. Where is AI genuinely making a difference now in actual classrooms, beyond just, saving teachers time? What's the deeper learning impact?
Well, beyond automation, which is definitely a plus, it's really about the quality and the scale of personalization that's now possible.
Okay.
Think about an adaptive reading platform. It doesn't just give you a text at your level. It analyzes how you read your comprehension patterns, vocabulary gaps, even your reading speed, and then it actually custom generates a learning path just for you. That's a level of individual focus. A single teacher just physically can't provide to a whole class at once.
Right, that makes sense.
And the other thing maybe underestimated is just the sheer volume of instant feedback available now. You take something like Grammarly. It's not just catching typos anymore. It's looking at your writing patterns, suggesting ways to improve style, giving feedback on tone and clarity, and it does this instantly before a teacher even sees it. That lets learners revise and improve on their own time, cutting that feedback loop from days down to basically seconds.
That instant, really specific feedback. Yeah, that's a massive difference. It's almost like giving every student their own private tutor, in a way.
Exactly.
But connecting this to the bigger picture, you mentioned inclusivity earlier. How does AI help learners who might face extra challenges?
Yeah, this is where it gets really powerful, I think. It's about leveling the playing field. So for learners with dyslexia, AI-powered text-to-speech can just open up access to written material that was maybe a huge struggle before. And the reverse, for students maybe with motor challenges making typing difficult, voice input tech lets them dictate their thoughts, participate more freely. It's about removing those cognitive or physical barriers.
Yeah.
Right? Giving everyone a better starting point for language learning.
Yeah.
However, and this is where we need to be, critical.
Right. The flip side.
Yeah, while the potential is huge, it definitely raises some important questions. What are the downsides?
That's crucial because no tool is perfect. There are always limitations, ethical things to think about. What are the main shadows here? I'm curious, what's maybe the most unexpected challenge you've seen with AI in this space?
Well, one of the trickiest ones, because it can be subtle, is algorithmic bias.
Huh. Okay.
We tend to think of AI as objective, right? But if the data it's trained on mostly reflects, say, one specific dialect or certain cultural norms, or even a particular way of teaching, then the AI might unintentionally penalize learners who don't fit that mold.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine an AI essay grader.
Yeah.
If it's trained mainly on standard American academic English, it might give lower scores to a non-native speaker whose writing style is perfectly correct and clear, but maybe uses different rhetorical structures common in their first language.
I see. So it's not really about errors, but about difference being mistaken for error.
Exactly. And that's not just unfair, it could actually discourage diverse ways of expressing ideas. And then, of course, there's data privacy, especially with rules like GDPR.
Right.
These tools can track everything, every click, every hesitation, every word you type or speak. That builds up a very detailed profile. So we have to ask, who owns that data? How secure is it? Could it be used in ways we didn't intend?
That's a really sobering point about bias. It really makes you think about balancing the amazing potential with these very real, sometimes hidden risks. It brings up that core question for educators, doesn't it? Does this tool actually respect student privacy? Is it genuinely promoting equity for everyone, or could it, maybe accidentally, make things less fair?
Precisely. It's about looking beyond the advertised features to the actual impact. And maybe the most fundamental question for us as educators. Does this tool genuinely complement what I do best as a human? My intuition, empathy, cultural understanding. Or does it try to replace those things that, frankly, AI can't replicate? Those are the ethical layers we always need to keep digging into.
Absolutely. Those are the really critical questions. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and get practical. How does AI specifically help with the 4 core language skills? Let's start with writing. We know it's not just typing. There's brainstorming, drafting, revising. How can AI be a partner there?
Yeah, for writing, AI can be like a really versatile co-pilot right at the start, brainstorming. Tools like ChatGPT are great for that. It can throw out ideas, suggest different angles, help structure an outline. Basically, it helps you get past that blank page fear.
Okay, getting started.
Then, when you're drafting and revising, Grammarly is obviously huge for the basics, grammar, spelling, punctuation.
Yeah.
But it also nudges you on tone, clarity, conciseness, guiding, not just correcting. And then there's something like Quillbot. What's interesting there is it helps with paraphrasing and summarizing, but also shows you different ways to phrase the same idea, different styles, different registers. That's a really important skill, learning to adapt your language for different audiences.
Definitely.
And for really fine-tuning, a tool like SlickWrite can analyze things like sentence length variation, passive voice use, flow. It pushes students towards more polished, impactful writing. So the thinking behind it, pedagogically, is it helps build independence, speeds up that feedback cycle massively, and supports writers who might need different kinds of help.
It's fascinating how it can push beyond just, is this correct, to, is this effective?
Exactly. Rhetorical effectiveness.
Okay, so what about reading, that foundational skill? How does AI help us not just sound out words, but actually understand and engage with texts?
Reading's another area with really personalized AI support. Think about platforms like Common Lit or Read Theory. They don't just give everyone the same article, they actually adapt the difficulty of the text and even the questions about it based on how you're doing right there in the moment.
So you're always stretched but not overwhelmed.
Pretty much, yeah. Working in that zone of proximal development, basically. Keeps you engaged. And for comprehension itself, AI can do things like highlight the main ideas in a passage, or simplify really complex sentences on the fly.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah, or provide definitions for tricky words right within the text. Tools like Rewordify are great for taking complex language and making it more accessible, bridging that gap. And then for vocabulary building, something like Quillions can take any text you give it and instantly create quizzes. Turns reading from passive intake to active learning.
So it makes reading more interactive and less frustrating, maybe.
I think so, yeah. It provides scaffolds.
Okay, next up, speaking. For many learners, this is the big goal, right? Fluency, accuracy, pronunciation. This feels like an area where AI could be really, really interesting. How does it help here?
Oh, absolutely. Speaking is where AI can do things that are hard to replicate otherwise, even with a tutor sometimes. Modern speech recognition is incredibly sophisticated now. It's not just turning speech to text, it's analyzing pronunciation right down to the individual phone level.
Wow.
So a tool like ELSA Speak, for example,
Hmm.
it listens to you speak and gives you super specific feedback on where your pronunciation differs from a native model. Like
Yeah.
your thou sound needs work here.
That's incredibly detailed.
It is. But it's not just about individual sounds. Tools like TalkPal AI actually simulate conversations. You can practice ordering coffee, discussing news, even do a mock job interview with an AI partner. It builds fluency and confidence in a safe space.
Okay, conversational practice without the pressure.
Exactly. And even for beginners, tools like Google Read Along can provide word-by-word pronunciation help as they read aloud. It's immediate, non-judgmental feedback. It really is like having an infinitely patient coach.
An infinitely patient coach. I like that description. Okay, finally, listening. Often the hardest skill, right? Fast speech, different accents, no visual cues. How does AI tackle listening comprehension?
Yeah, listening is tough. AI helps by providing, again, that scaffolding. It can offer adaptive input, adjusting content complexity. But interactive captions are probably the biggest game changer.
How do those work?
Well, imagine watching a YouTube video via a tool like VoiceTube or using LingQ. You get subtitles, but you can click on any word you don't know for an instant definition or translation. Some even let you slow down the audio slightly without distorting it too much.
Ah, okay.
It turns passive viewing into active listening and vocabulary building. LingQ even tracks the words you look up, helping you focus on learning them. And some tools, like SpeechLink, combine listening with speaking practice. You hear a native speaker, then record yourself mimicking them, and the AI can give feedback on how closely your intonation and rhythm match.
So it connects hearing the sound to producing it.
Precisely.
Right.
It makes the whole process less intimidating and much more targeted.
Okay, so we've seen how AI can support each skill, but just having the tools isn't enough, right? It's about how teachers integrate them effectively. What frameworks help educators think about this?
That's absolutely the key point.
Yeah.
Just throwing tech into a lesson doesn't guarantee better learning. We need thoughtful integration. Frameworks like the SAMR model and TPACK are really useful here.
Can you break those down briefly? SAMR first.
Sure, SAMR looks at the level of tech integration. Are you just substituting an old tool with a new one, like using Grammarly just as a spell checker instead of manual proofreading? That's the basic level. Then you move up to augmentation. The tech adds some functionality, like ELSA Speak, giving real-time pronunciation feedback. Modification is where the task itself starts to change, like using Duolingo chatbots for interactive conversation practice that wasn't easily possible before. And redefinition, the highest level, is where AI allows for completely new kinds of tasks. Think immersive VR language environments for simulated real-world interaction. That's a whole new way to learn.
Okay, so it's a ladder of integration, from simple replacement to transformation. And TPACK.
TPACK technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge focuses on the intersection of those three things. It emphasizes that effective tech integration isn't just about knowing the tech, or knowing your subject C, or knowing how to teach P. It's about understanding how they all interact. How does this specific tool, T, help me teach this specific language point, C, using this effective teaching method, P? It ensures the tech serves the learning goals, not the other way around.
Got it. So it's about that sweet spot where technology, teaching strategy, and the actual language content all align perfectly.
Exactly, aligning the tool with the specific learning outcome you're aiming for.
And this careful integration must surely apply to assessment, too. How is AI changing the way we evaluate language skills?
Oh, significantly. Assessment is undergoing a big shift. Automated writing evaluation, AWE, is one area. Tools like Cambridge's Write and Prove aren't just counting errors. They're using AI to give holistic feedback on things like organization, coherence, vocabulary range. For speaking, as we mentioned, platforms like Duolingo or SpeechLink use speech recognition to assess pronunciation, fluency, even intonation patterns, providing instant feedback.
Right.
And then you have adaptive testing engines, like Read Theory uses for reading. The test literally adjusts its difficulty based on your answers in real time. This gives a much more accurate picture of a student's actual ability level, often much faster than traditional tests.
So the big advantage seems to be speed, personalization, that immediate feedback loop again.
Definitely. Fast, personalized, adaptive feedback is a huge plus.
There's always a but, isn't there? Given our earlier discussion, what are the critical watch-outs when using AI for assessment? especially for those nuanced skills like writing or speaking.
Yeah, this is where we need to tread really carefully. That risk of bias we talked about.
Yeah.
It's magnified in assessment. If an AI writing tool is trained on a narrow data set, it might consistently undervalue perfectly good writing that deviates from that norm. Think about different cultural rhetorical styles, for instance.
Right, it could penalize creativity or diverse perspectives.
Absolutely. AI often struggles with nuance, sarcasm, humor, subtle cultural references, creative language use, things a human marker would pick up on and potentially reward. And the data privacy issue is even more acute with assessment data because it often has high-stakes attached grades, progression.
True.
You have to consider edge cases, too. What if an AI speech assessment tool just can't properly understand a student with a speech impairment? It might repeatedly mark them down unfairly.
That's a serious equity concern.
It is. These aren't just hypothetical problems. They highlight why human oversight, careful tool selection, and a really strong ethical framework are absolutely essential when using AI for evaluation. It can't be fully automated without risk.
So quite a journey we've taken. We've gone from defining AI in this context through its history, looked at the benefits and serious considerations, seen how it applies across all 4 skills, and considered how to integrate and evaluate it thoughtfully. That was a real deep dive.
It really covers a lot of ground. And I think the key takeaway is that AI is an incredibly powerful assistant, a co-pilot, maybe. But its real value comes when we as educators and learners understand its strengths and weaknesses and apply it critically with solid pedagogy in mind. The potential to personalize, to give that instant feedback, to free up teachers for those crucial human interactions, it's immense.
So as you've been listening along, maybe reflect on this. What's one thing that really stands out to you about how AI could specifically enhance your way of teaching or learning English? And think about everything we've discussed. What's maybe one concrete, responsible step you could take to explore these tools further?
Yeah, and maybe the bigger question to ponder is this. As AI gets more sophisticated and becomes this constant presence in education, how do we make absolutely sure it amplifies human connection, boosts creativity, enhances that joy of communication, rather than somehow diminishing those things on the journey to mastering a language? That's the ongoing challenge, I think, for all of us.